morning and thank you for tuning in. This is Walter Mithkite reporting for GNN, the Gielinor News Network. The cult at Zulrah sent out a news flash requesting more sacrifices to their snake god, Zulrah. Our legal department is informing us that we can cover the story so long as we inform our viewers the dangers of fulfilling this request. Before this broadcast could even air, it seems adventurers have taken the cult up on their offer. As our ground team arrived, dozens of would-be sacrifices were ferrying themselves off to Zulrah's island. Curious as to why the newsflash was put out, GNN was able to get this exclusive testimonial with Zulrah, the cult's high priestess.
We are so glad that you could join us at Zulrah today. We are seeing adventurer after adventurer ferry themselves across to sacrifice themselves to our blessed snake mother, Zulrah. We have also seen many that must have turned the boat around halfway and returned. When they come back, they insist that they have slain our beloved Zulrah. This is impossible. Our snake mother is not able to be defeated. We have urged those adventurers to get back on the boat and ferry themselves out. The whole reason we ask for more sacrifices is because the sacred eels that our snake mother sends us have been making it to the shore in lower amounts. We fear that Zulrah is sensing a lack of faith from us, and we must prove our devotion. Please, adventurers, come to Zulrah and sacrifice yourself to the glory of the snake mother.
Well, we are thankful to Zulrah for her testimonial. Our team here at GNN had to maintain our journalistic integrity, so we tried our best to grab an adventurer that had been consistently rowing their boat out to Zulrah's island as opposed to just taking a cultist testimonial. Our ground team has Chad, an adventurer from Lumbridge, live on the comm orb now. Chad, thank you for joining us. What do you have to say in response to Zulrah's claim that Zulrah is impossible to kill?
Bro, that chick is whack, man. Before today, I only killed this money noodle a couple times so I could drip out my Void Knight robes and make some coin. But today, bro, I've been rinsing that smelly snake, man.
Sorry, Chad. Just to confirm, you have been able to slay Zulrah? How does Zulrah keep returning?
Shit, Walter, maybe she is right, bro. Now that I think about it, when I put Zulrah down, its body falls back into the swamp. I mean, like, Zulrah is always at the island when I return. I guess Zulrah can't be killed. Right. More coin for me, bro. Other adventurers are paying me out the nose on the ground exchange for this snake's scales.
Well, congratulations on the windfall profits there, Chad. Would you be willing to share how you are defeating Zulrah?
Yeah, sure, bro. Sometimes Zulrah shoots me with, like, magic attacks, so I just pray against it. And, like, other times, Zulrah shoots me with a ranged attack, so I pray against that. But, dude, like, sometimes she mixes it up a little bit, and I have no idea what's coming, so I just mow down on some sea turtle. Righteous!
Oh, sorry, Chad, I have to interrupt you here. Viewers at home, our PR department has urged us to share that GNN does not endorse the consumption of sea turtles. We want to ensure our friends at the Animal Reserve Society of Etceteria, or more commonly known as ARST, that we do not want sea turtles slain for consumption, and much more importantly, that we do not want to be ARST. Chad, if you're still with us, please continue.
Yeah, sure, man, whatever. Anyway, so after chomping down on a bunch of sea turtles, I make sure I stand out of the way of the poison clouds that Zulrah covers the island with. Oh! Also, I have to change which weapons I use. Like, sometimes she doesn't take any damage from my Bofa. So I switched to my Twin Flame Staff, and bro, I am so glad that Adventurer Travag posted that video on the RuneTube app. I watched it on my comm orb and this thing cooks. I think I might try out my Noxious Halberd today. I've seen some loco bros taking that in with the robo with them. I can't believe I never thought of that. Yeah, I'm gonna go get it now, actually. Later, bro.
Right, well, thanks, I guess. We at GNN aim not only to be known for our accurate reporting, but also for our role in fostering a safe and efficient community. This week, we caught wind that some adventurers, or at least one, may not know the quickest way to the Whisperer, colloquially known as the Goth Mommy, in the Lasar Undercity. This is a public service announcement that adventurers should activate the Cathedral option on the teleporters available in the Undercity. Not using this option on the teleporter could cost a lot of time and be highly embarrassing. This has been our PSA this week. If you appreciate the work GNN does for its community, please consider the fact that we are only able to operate on the airwaves because of viewers like you that like and subscribe to our broadcast. Over at the Chasm of Fire, the Shazian army finds itself in an embarrassing situation. While Lord Shiro insisted the increased demonic activity was nothing to worry about, the disciples of Yama put the following video announcement out on the Comorb forum app. Foolish adventurers have blasphemed the Master of Pax! Our Lord Yama will not idly sit by, as you say, his judges! You have 1 week to prepare before our Lord Yama is ready to sign your contract. His demands are non-negotiable, and your life non-refundable. Adventurers will pay. Sophia transgression was turned to ashes. Adventurers that do not comply will end up in the same state. Well, that's more unfortunate than a teleblock in the deep wilderness. On one hand, I am happy that I am not one of the adventurers that appears to have upset the cult of Yama. On the other hand, I cannot believe that Nomad's conspiracy theory about Yama being summoned came true. Wow, at least in part. I mean, he said something about the leprechauns being involved, but this revelation doesn't appear to have anything to do with those friends of the farming folk of Gielinor. Our next segment is an old one finally making a return. Goofy Gold with our market analyst, Kim Jamer. Take it away, Kim.
Thanks, Walter. I'm glad to be back from the sunny shores of Karamja. I couldn't help but notice as I got to my desk back at GNN that the great exchange prices seem to be recovering from the bear market everything was in when I left for vacation shortly before our April broadcasts. I mean, we are seeing some items doubling in price, like the Tormented Synapse. It's obvious to see that folks still don't think the market has priced in the utility of the Tormented Synapse when it comes to fighting Yama. Who knows? Maybe the folks who bought the Synapse when Yama's summoning was just a rumor from Nomad are the ones who will get to lock in these profit margins. I really do think the people who are buying the Synapse today are going to be left holding the bag as those that bought the rumor are now selling or will be selling the news. I'm saying to get out, folks. Sell, sell, sell. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, Kim, and again, welcome back. I would follow your advice, but I'm too poor to afford a Synapse anyways. In any case, folks, just this morning the Easter Bunny has left Varrock for rehab. Many of you may remember from our broadcast last month that the bunny was in shambles in lifting booze from the Blue Moon Inn. We asked Bart Ender, the proprietor of the Blue Moon Inn, to comment on the Easter Bunny stealing from his establishment. And he sent us this voice message from his Comorb.
Oh, you know, I feel for that poor bunny. Bunch of adventurers be coming up to me, always expecting something from me, and I never give in the time of day. Always a spaced out look in our eyes, too. I wish the bunny the best, and I forget a furry bugger. I hope he gets well. No need for him to be worrying about to pay me for the Uncle Henry's gut rut. Get well soon, bunny.
Wow, what a show of character. Our team at GNN is also happy to see the bunny off to rehab, and we hope he comes back next Easter, to host his renowned festivities. Our final story is a small one just across the street from the Blue Moon Inn. We typically don't have stories come in from beggars, but Charlie the Tramp in Varrock had his light-hearted story to share.
Right, so just this morning I was minding my own business, you know, making adventurers do silly stuff, giving them slips of paper, usual. But when some blokes comes up, he throws change in me cuppa. Splashed some tea all over me outfit, was pretty upset, right? But when I finished me tea, I noticed that bloke gave me enough to buy some more, so I trotted me happy arse over to the tea stall and grabbed me another cuppa. What a guy! Ta, mate!
How heartwarming. It's because of exchanges like that that I am a proud Gielinorian. The demonic activity at the Chasm of Fire in the Shazian region of Corinne over the past month comes to a climax as adventurers storm the fiery crevice to take on Yama. The Master of Pax has promised adventurers a chance at receiving some new gear should they be able to defeat him. The first Agile adventurers have found a shortcut in the northern section of the crevasse that allows them to nimbly jump their way across the second level of the chasm towards a lift that takes them to the bottom floor. While it is curious that no adventurers had thought of this in the past, this shortcut is sure to be popular. That said, our legal department encouraged me to tell adventurers to attempt this shortcut at your own peril. GNN is not responsible for any scrapes, cuts, abrasions, bruises, or any other bodily harm that may result from taking this shortcut. Adventurers who are even more nimble, deft, and agile have created a shortcut to demonstrate just how amazing their athletic prowess is. A chain they can climb down. We asked an adventurer who could take the first new shortcut why they weren't taking this newer, shorter one, and they told us that they, quote, just don't get it. Once adventurers make it to the bottom, they're not met with Yama, but a minotaur-like demon going by the title Voice of Yama. This demon has been down in the chasm for several years now, but only recently has he taken on the additional responsibility of being Yama's administrative assistant. To be clear, this demon is not Yama's secretary. While the Voice of Yama may take calls, schedule meetings, make copies, and go on coffee runs, the demon seems to be very offended when adventurers refer to him as secretary. Those that are able to make it past the demon's insulting welcoming have found that they already have a meeting scheduled with the Master of Pacts, Yama, who is asking adventurers if they want to make a deal with the devil. The trade that adventurers are reporting is that Yama is offering adventurers a chance at armaments and information on ancient techniques should they defeat him. If they lose, Yama is taking the soul of the adventurers for 1 year, which he insists is, quote, a drop in the ocean compared to eternity. Should adventurers be willing to take Yama up on this offer, they must agree to a contract that is binding and cannot be backed out of. For my fellow orange and red-haired adventurers, we are unsure yet what happens when they're defeated by Yama and forfeiting their soul for a year. How can Yama take what they never had in the first place? The armaments that adventurers are risking their souls for are quite interesting, the first of which is a special worm that Yama summons for fishermen to use at anglerfish locations, the Diabolic Worm. Adventurers report these worms increase the chance to catch anglerfish by about 2 to 3 times. Much like the younger generations of Gielinor, the anglerfish can't seem to get enough of red-dyed spicy versions of the original. Yama also drops Aether Catalysts, which enable skilled tradesmen of the runecraft variety to make a cosmic and soul combination rune. If runecrafting doesn't excite you, perhaps Herblore does. Demonic Tallow is another item that adventurers have a chance to receive from defeating Yama. We have Lalo, the supervisor of the Alchemical Society of Alderan, to explain the use they discovered for this ingredient. Supervisor Lalo, you are live.
Oh, yes, quite. We have found that the tallow synthesizes itself best with a torso solution. Interestingly enough, one of our assistants cut themselves on a vial while testing the demonic tallow and found that it reacts to blood. Whether this is due to blood's ferrous properties or the life essence present in the bodily fluid, we are unsure, but we recommend that anyone practicing herblore with these ingredients pick themselves as they add the ingredients to unlock the potency of what we are calling the Surge Potion. Adventurers should find great use in the Surge Potion as it restores about a quarter of the energy they use for special attacks. That said, the potion does take a toll on the fortitude of the human body, so it cannot be consumed again until 5 minutes have passed since the last swig. Thank you for the interview, Walter. Per my agreement with your producer, I get to plug our institution. While we're calling all adventurers who wish to master mixology to the Alchemical Society, you need to bring your own ingredients, but we will reward your labor and production with company script that can be used to purchase items that are very beneficial to those in the herblore trade.
Thank you, Lalo. It's interviews like that one that keep me in the studio, doing them over the comm-orb instead of getting drenched in person. We hope more adventurers take the Alchemical Society up on their offer after fighting Yama. Your current interns seem almost robotic. The demonic tallow isn't it, folks. Adventurers of the bardic persuasion will find that Yama may leave them a horn should they defeat him. This soul flame horn guarantees nearby adventurers near the one blowing it to succeed on their next attack. I'm not an adventurer, but that sounds very useful. Finally, the prized possession that adventurers seem to be going after is the Oathplate Armor. Adventurers lucky enough to receive it have described it as being better than Bandos, but not as good as Torva, with some reservations made for the Oathplate's ability to increase accuracy when slashing with weapons. While I am a news anchor on Gielinor's most successful news program, I have no idea what they mean, but I trust that adventurers out there will find that information useful. Should adventurers not be lucky enough to get a piece of the Oathplate set, they may be lucky enough to get a shard of Oathplate. Oathplate shards, alongside some other materials in the Chasm of Fire, can be combined to create a piece of the Oathplate set. This sounds very convenient for unlucky adventurers. We have an interview lined up later in this broadcast on how exactly this works. Keen-eyed adventurers who actually read the contract they signed with Yama have noticed additional contracts being available. Yama took some time out of his busy schedule this morning to explain these additional contracts.
Hello, GNN viewers. In subsection C of the original ever-binding contract I made with adventurers, I offer to lift some of the restrictions I've placed on myself for a more real feeling of revenge. I'm not outright offering these contracts, but allowing adventurers to come across them in exchange for their services. You see, my middle management has had a hard time managing the demons of the chasm, and I'm requesting the leadership services of a learned adventurer. Should adventurers wish to agree to these contracts, they must first get them from enacting my new workplace incentive scheme, slaying demons in the Chasm of Fire according to whatever my current demands are. I plan on having 5 demands, and they are listed as follows. Kill the demon with a heavy ranged weapon, kill the demon with a special attack, kill the demon with a 2-handed weapon, kill the demon while it's bound or through binding spells, and finally, killing the demon with a spell. I must add clarification to that last one. Powered staves do not count. If adventurers are curious as to what the current demand is, they can visit my disciple at the entrance to my chasm to check.
I never thought I would thank a demon for clarifying the complicated nature of contract law, but, thank you, Yama. The team at GNN is sure that the demons of the chasm will start increasing their productivity soon due to this new workplace incentive. I can also say that the team and I hope our producer doesn't get any ideas. If I could have another moment of your time, Yama, are you willing to give adventurers any tips when it comes to their time stepping up to challenge you?
Why, sure, it's not like they stand a chance anyways. You'll need to pay attention to swap your prayers based on the magic and ranged attacks. Please be sure to avoid any of my special attacks by standing in the middle of the glyphs as well if you plan on seeing the judge you slayed. I am finally getting over that, by the way, just in time too, because you'll get to see him again and kill him again. Twice by the time you make it to the end of my final phase I have prepared for you. During that phase, I hope you're good at skipping rope, because I have plenty of attacks for you to jump over. If that weren't enough, I made sure that you have something to look out for coming from above as well. Good luck, adventurers. You'll need it.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Too bad my combat level is 3 and I need to stick to this studio lest I risk my hardcore status. Back to the topic of the Oathplate shards, you may be asking, adventurers, how exactly do you use Oathplate shards to make an Oathplate armament? By visiting Jimp the Imp, of course. Jimp is now available for a quick interview this morning where he explained his area of the Chasm of Fire. Jimp, you are live on GNN.
Hey, you can just call me Jim. When I'm not out getting records for Yama and then dying at his hand, I just sit here to help adventurers out. My amenities can be used to turn Oathplate shards into ultimately Oathplate Armor. I won't get into the details, but I will say that if you find yourself dripping sweat and need to mop it up so you can mine faster, come and see me and I'll give you my personal wet cloth so you can wipe your brow.
That's probably way too generous of you, Jimmy. Can I call you that? Anyways, Jimmy, can you detail for us exactly how the process of making Oathplate works?
No, you cannot call me Jimmy. Call me Jim. I said you can just call me Jim. Jeez, humans. As for the Oathplate, sure, well...
Are we good? Jim, are you there?
Sorry about that. Yama needed some records. After dying for what will not be the last time today, I'm not really in the mood to explain how to make Oathplate in this area. Just tell the adventurers to get down here and they'll figure it out themselves.
And that's probably not generous enough. I hate to rely on stereotypes, but that was quite impish. Our legal department took a peek at the contract players need to sign with Jim in order to access his area of the chasm and found that the rag to wipe sweat from your brow is tied to that area. This is very unfortunate for the adventurers who find themselves getting sweaty outside the Chasm of Fire. Perhaps in the future, Jim will allow adventurers to renegotiate the contract to enable them to take the rag out for a spin. Well, folks, for the doomsday announcement the cultists of Yama made last week, Yama doesn't seem like as bad of a guy as they made him seem. Sure, he takes your soul for a year if you're defeated by him, but hey, at least he gives you a choice whether you want to challenge him or not. Some adventurers are also finding that they are making plenty of coin from slaying the demons in the chasm and selling those additional contracts to other adventurers on the Grand Exchange. How nice. It's always good to see the little guys secure the bag. Before we wrap up our broadcast this week, the Justice Administration and Governors of Exchange, or JAGX, has announced what were previously top secret documents regarding happenings around Gielinor, from deeply nefarious to barely impish. It seems that the Falador Massacre that occurred 19 years ago was perpetrated by Yama. Footage from an orb of Oculus shows Duriel, the assailant that carried out the massacre, taking a contract from Yama. GNN wishes to respect the solitude of the families affected by this event, so we will not be reaching out for interview. May Sarah Daman comfort them in this time. It appears that Yama is also behind Zulrah's erratic attack patterns, jewelry boxes becoming disorganized, implings and Puro flying across the field, and Yanni Salika misleading adventurers into believing that the quest he sends them on would be one small favor. Perhaps Yama is as bad as his followers made him out to be. We apologize for the delayed broadcast this week, as we did not have anything to report on until this morning. A class action lawsuit is being levied against Yama. Many adventurers entered into a binding contract with Yama that he stated could not be changed, and yet, changed it he has. Yama was offering players that could defeat him a chance at receiving the coveted Oathplate Armor, yet a few days after he opened his arena up, he decreased the odds of receiving the armor. Many players were upset by this change, and feel that Yama has violated the agreed-upon terms set forth in the contract. Before Yama appears in the Sears Village courthouse this morning, we were able to get this GNN exclusive testimonial.
It's a good thing I'm representing myself in court today, because any other lawyer would tell me to shy away from interviews until after the hearing is finished. I share this with you today because I know I did not violate my contract. Perhaps adventurers would be more aware of this if they did not have that spaced out look on their faces that they accepted my contract. The contract mentions nowhere what the rates of attaining the Oathplate Armor must be. I could set them to 1 in 1,000 if I wanted to. Frankly, I believe myself to be quite generous with the current rates. I mean, for all their complaining, the adventurers seem to be making their way out to challenge me more and more. To my defense, so many pieces of the Oathplate Armor have hit the Grand Exchange that its market price is below 400 million gold pieces. This armor is almost as good as the armor set that next drops. I mean, come on. In any case, in order to pique the interest of adventurers even more, once I am finished at the courthouse today, I'll be starting to take on challengers who are opting into the subsection C portion of the original contract. I am even letting some adventurers continue to bring a friend for a handful of these additional contracts. Now, if you would, please excuse me, as I must be off to my hearing.
Folks, that is not all of our coverage of the hearing. As a matter of fact, our ground team was permitted access to record the hearing. Live from the Sears Village Courthouse, here is Judge?
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sears Village Courthouse. I am your justice today, Judge. From what I understand, the plaintiff adventurers of Gielinor, represented by Nomad of Soul Wars, is accusing the defendant Yama of the Chasm of Fire, who is representing themselves, of a breach of contract. Before we get started today, I noticed no evidence has been submitted for the case on behalf of the plaintiff. Nomad, do you really think this case is worth my time if you don't even have any evidence of the contract being breached?
Yes, Your Honor. I think the Globetrotter's plot is simple and easy to see for anyone who has their eyes open. It all starts with demons like Yama conspiring with magical creatures like leprechauns. They're putting trails in the skybox so that drop rates are reduced. It's all a conspiracy that is a plan that's so easy to see if you're just awake and paying attention.
Oh, Nomad, please stop your rambling. Everything is a conspiracy to you. You submitted no evidence because you have no evidence. As you were rambling, I looked over the contract that Yama submitted as evidence, and I agree with the defense. There is nothing mentioned in the contract about the rate of attaining Oathplate Armor. This case is being thrown out. Please leave immediately. Mrs. Judge and I have a date at the Baxtorian Falls Resort and Day Spa.
I have to say, our legal department at GNN is not surprised at all by the result of this class action lawsuit being, well, anticlimactic. Nomad is known for frivolous accusations, and the adventurers really didn't have a legal footing to stand on. In other news, the largest adventurer versus adventurer competition of the year has finally gotten a date. The 2025 season of Deadman Mode Allstars will run from May 30th to June 8th. This season, the producer's solo mission has made several changes to the competition in an effort to encourage encounters between competitors and allow them to not be cooped up in raids where they are safe from other teams. The whole team at GNN is eagerly awaiting the start of this event. As a ginger myself, you know that I'll be rooting for the Boaty Brawl. Oh, who am I kidding? I really thought I had a chance to make it this year. Not as a competitor, but as an announcer. Here I was thinking that as an anchor on the largest corporate news network in Gielinor, I would have a real shot at being the announcer. Oh, GNN will continue the broadcast after this word from our producer.
Ooh, thanks, Walter. We'll get it next year, buddy. As Walter said, my name's Weave, all caps, add the spaces. First, I want to thank everyone for their support of the channel. I started this broadcast as a way to procrastinate my maxing grind, and well, today is the day that has finally come. I wanted to invite all of you to World 420 tonight, Friday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. Eastern, to parade with me from Falador Square all the way up to Mac and his island. I'll finish my final level in agility with an XP lamp and light my final fire to get 99 fire making. If you want to be in the picture I take on Mac's Island with my comm orb, you'll need the items and levels that are being shown right now. Along the parade route, I'll be dropping items as I get my final levels. After I purchase my cape from Mac, we'll make our way over to the clan portal at the Grand Exchange, and we'll have a drop party in my clan's clan hall. Between the parade and the drop party, over 100 million coins worth of loot is going to be dropped. Everyone's invited. While other channels haven't learned this yet, paying viewers for engagement is against the rules that the Justice Administration and Governors of Exchange, commonly known as JAGX, clarified in April of this year. If it is against the rules to promote the channels of others in exchange for Gielinorian gold, then it makes sense that it's against the rules to promote your own broadcast in exchange for Gielinorian gold. This drop party is a celebration of Gielinor, and anyone is free to come. Thank you for your support. Back to you, Walter.
Wow, what a guy. I am so happy to work for such a generous boss. I hope to make it out to the party, but Mrs. Mithkite has been wanting some attention. Speaking of attention, rule breakers have been catching the attention of the enforcement arm of JAGX. Yesterday, JAGX announced that this year alone, over 1 million synthetic adventurers, sometimes referred to as bots, have been locked up. This has resulted in more than 1 trillion coins being removed from the economy. Our economic contributor from the University of Ardoon said that such a figure dwarfs the GDP of the entire Misthalin and Kandaren kingdoms combined. While many adventurers praise JAGX for their hard stance on bots, the Gold Synthetic Adventurer Legislation Engagement Lobbying Group released this video on all their social media commorb apps in response.
Hi, I'm Sarge McNotboat, and will you be an angel for a helpless synthetic adventurer? Every day innocent synthetic adventurers are abused, banned, and muted. And they are crying out for help. Please, become a Gold S.A.L.E member by visiting the Grand Exchange, right now. By joining, you will be providing an abused synthetic adventurer with account services, food, and love. Join now and you will receive a welcome kit of a fighter torso to show your appreciation as a Gold S.A.L.E enjoyer, as well as a picture of a synthetic adventurer who has been given a second chance, thanks to you. Right now there is a synthetic adventurer who needs you. You visiting the Grand Exchange to join says, I'm here to help. Please join, right now.
Too bad I just enjoyed the latest bot-busting programming that aired yesterday. Sweeping changes in the monetary policy of Jagex is what players woke up to this morning. Citing increasing rates of inflation, Jagex has increased the tax rates at the Grand Exchange, doubling them from 1 to 2%. Many players are enraged, upset that the tax rate on the sale of goods at the Grand Exchange has doubled. Curious as to what effect this might have on the economy, we reached out to the University of Ardoon, who has graciously allowed their renowned economist Eugene Dinvin Beverk to serve as our economics pundit for today's broadcast. Dr. Dinvin Beverk, thank you for appearing on today's show.
No, thank you, Walter. These tax changes are sure to make those that use the Grand Exchange very animated. What questions do you have?
First, I suppose I'll ask whether or not this will have the impact that Jagex claims it will.
In general, should everything else remain relatively unchanged, I would argue that yes, this should inflict some deflationary pressure on prices. I must emphasize that I say deflationary pressure and not deflation. I imagine that prices will continue to rise as gold enters the economy faster than this marginal increase in the tax rate will cause gold to leave it. I am merely stating that inflation will occur at a lower rate than would otherwise have been the case had Jagex not increased the GE tax rate.
And why should adventurers be worried about inflation?
Well, it depends who they are. If they are an adventurer with a large amount of assets as opposed to gold, inflation does not hurt them as much. If anything, inflation increases the market value of their assets as the money supply expands more rapidly than the supply of the assets they own. For example, if we assume the demand remains the same over the course of a particular season, should the supply of gold increase at a faster rate than the supply of, say, twisted bows, we could wisely expect that the twisted bows would become more expensive on the market. The adventurer being made wealthier due to having a twisted bow is only being made wealthier due to the inflation. Now, if you imagine adventurers that was holding onto gold coins instead, you could wisely assume that over a particular period of time that they were becoming poorer. Not because they were doing something unwise, like buying armor trimming services, but because they had held onto a commodity that was increasing in supply at a higher rate than the things they could exchange it for. In short, adventurers holding on to large amounts of coins should be helped by this deflationary pressure they're enacting, and adventurers holding on to large amounts of assets will be hurt in a relative sense.
Oh, so only people that are holding on to assets are being made worse off here, huh?
Oh, sorry, I should have been more clear here. This tax is extracting wealth from everyone that uses the Grand Exchange. Whether you hold primarily assets or gold coins, if you sell an item, you are now worse off than you otherwise would have been, as the tax rate is higher. Because of the convenience the GE creates for adventurers, they may not admit it, but the GE is most likely producing way more value for them on more sales than this 2% tax would cost them. Truthfully, Jagex cannot make a change to tackle inflation without creating some groups of winners and losers. If they were to tackle inflation at its source by confiscating gold from monsters before the adventurers could slay them, then the adventurers who slay those monsters would be worse off than they otherwise would have been. Every adventurer who does not slay those gold-dropping monsters would be made better off as their income is not hurt, and their income they are earning somewhere else would be able to buy them much more goods on the Grand Exchange.
Interesting. Do you think Jagex made the right decision here?
I am no fan of the inflation, but I would prefer that Jagex slows the release of gold coins and alchemists to monsters that inevitably drop to the adventurers. That said, I imagine this additional 1% will not have that large of an effect on the average adventurers use at the Grand Exchange. Sure, they may not like paying it, but these are still the same adventurers that sell all of their items at 5% under the market value anyways. I mean, those adventurers should be more concerned that their impatience eats up their margins much more than their tax does.
I actually just saw a producer weave, wince, and grow a little pale as you called out adventurers for selling all of their items short. It seems you embarrassed him. What do you make of Jagex's changes to the list of items they use a portion of the tax revenue to buy items off the market?
Yes, the item sync. Whatever items are on this list, Jagex is essentially enabling more of these items to come into the games than would otherwise be the case. At some level, Jagex is putting an upward pressure on demand for these items with these tax-financed purchases. It is worth noting that, yes, This purchase also reduces the supply, but between the decrease in supply and the increase in demand, this is one double whammy of an upward pressure on the prices that only incentivizes adventurers to slay more monsters that drop those items than would have otherwise been the case. Take the Fang of Armontum, for example. Many adventurers report that this item is to be the best one-handed sword in the game, and yet it is relatively cheap. Jagex aims to push the price of this item up by using taxed coins to remove them from the game. This may work in the short term, but all this tax does is create winners out of the adventurers that raid the tombs of a mascot and losers out of everyone else who doesn't. I also imagine that it is a fair assumption that as the low end of the purple chest of the Tombs of Damascus are bought up in market value, more players will flock to the raid, further pushing the value of the higher items down, which are also on the item sink list. Sure, one might say that this rate of fangs and light bearers being sunk won't increase the prices past their current level, but to that I would reply that in the future, the prices of these assets will be higher than would have otherwise been the case. Without reducing the drop rates of these items that are overpowered relative to their rarity, Jagex is only treating symptoms and not bringing about a solution. This is particularly sad because there is an opportunity cost to Jagex using tax revenue to sink these items, which could be sinking other items that have high drop rates that mirror their utility, or not sinking items and further reducing the gold supply. Unfortunately, Dwarter, I have a lecture that starts soon and I cannot help my students from waiting. They make this comment about, oh, if you're late, I'm legally allowed to leave. Ha! Get out of here. As much as I have loved sharing with your viewers today, I am sure they do not want to hear a lecture on marginalism in the subjective theory of value, so I must do that lecture there instead of here. Goodbye.
What I would give to be in that economics class. Something is funny about that Ardunian accent, though. Maybe Dr. Din Vinbavert traveled a lot as a child. In other news, folks, Gommel is now offering adventurers combat achievement points for taking on Yama in interesting ways. Our producer would be able to shine some light on what he thinks the difficulty of achieving them will be, but he has been too busy maxing the last 2 weeks to have any idea on the state of Yama. He did have this to share.
Hello, Gielinorians. Thank you to all of you who attended my max party. It was a lot of fun. I hope the items I dropped are able to be put to good use, or at least to be sold. If you did sell, I really hope you sold before this recent tax increase. My next goal is clearing the Inferno, and I want to do it with a twisted bow. But right now, I'm somewhere between 100 and 200 million coins short. It seems that after the maxing party, I have some gold to go and earn back. And now I need to earn 1% more since Jagex is stealing double the amount of my earnings in the form of taxes. Well, currently, I'm trying to green log some Slayer bosses while I wait for raid teams to show up. In any case, thank you for your support. Gielinor News Network is only able to continue broadcasting because of the support from viewers like you that like and subscribe to this broadcast. Back to you, Walter.
Congratulations on maxing again, Weave. Finally, we want to remind viewers that Deadman Mode Allstars begins today. Be sure to tune in live to the participants' channels on your Comorb. If you cannot watch any of the live broadcasts, the Mission Solo channel on the RuneTube app on your Comorb will have an update video throughout the week. With that reminder out of the way, I must apologize for my breakdown last week. Some of you tried to comfort me by sharing that you were also upset to hear that I would not be the announcer of the event, but it was highly unprofessional of me to cry on the broadcast. Please forgive me. Gielinor News Network strives for excellence, and I fell short last week. With that said, our broadcast this morning is now coming to a close. This is Walter Mithkite for GNN, signing off.